Oh man, fuck. What can I say? What can I say about this game that hasn't been said already? Cyberpunk 2077. Fuck. God, oh, jeez. What can I say about this game and this review? Well, first things first, in 2020, there was two games that were on my radar. Two games that were heavily anticipated more than anything else. The first one was this, Cyberpunk. I was really looking forward to this game. And the anticipation for this game was off the charts for me. It was just either between that and The Last of Us Part 2. And Jesus Christ, what can I say about this game that hasn't been said already? Well, I might as well just get into it. This game, fuck me dead, like fucking hell. This game was nothing but a disappointment, and I cannot believe it too. Like, I'm so disappointed in this game. From every single aspect of this game was just a disaster. From the story to the characters to the gameplay to the glitches to the crashing to the fucking the Night City map, like everything that I was expecting to be good just turned out to be a massive disaster. An absolute calamity on a pixel screen. Such a shame too, because I've never played a CD Projekt Red game. I haven't played The Witcher 3 and I haven't played any of the other games. So when people said that The Witcher 3 is one of the greatest games of the 8th generation and CD Projekt Red is one of the best developers, like that pretty much had me all in on this game when I saw the 48-minute trailer, and that shit looked absolutely amazing. And the reputation that this studio had and everything like that. And playing this game, like, for the very first time. And I know this is a delayed review. Like, I should have done this review about 2 months ago, but being that CD Projekt Red decided to make the port of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox so fucking terrible, where it was borderline unplayable. It looked like an SNES game compared to a 8th generation game. I figured I'd just wait for me to get the PlayStation 5 so I could play this game and try my best to enjoy it, to the full. Like, I don't really want to gimp myself when it comes to playing these games. I could have played it on the PC, but I don't play games on the PC. It's just not for me. I'm more of a console person. So I figured I'd wait for me to get the PlayStation 5 to play it and review it. And my God, guys, like, wow. What the fuck was this piece of shit? It was an absolute travesty. An absolute disaster, this thing. You want to talk about just one of the biggest disappointments of the generation. Look no further. And one thing about me is that before this, when the game started to come out and people were reviewing this game, pretty much everyone talked about was the glitches. And one thing about me is that I do not review games in terms of glitches. Like, I do not put my opinion towards games that are buggy and stuff like that. I pay attention to the story, the gameplay and everything. Like, the story, the gameplay, fuck me dead, the gameplay. Wow. I'm going to talk about that soon. And just everything else that makes a good game. So, yeah, I'd figured 2 months later, I figured, the game would be polished. It would be, much better than it should be at the release. And spoiler alert, 2 fucking months later, nah. This game is still an absolute disaster in terms of bugs. Like, the glitches were unbelievable. The crashes were astronomical. I don't think I've ever played a game that was more that has crashed more in my life. Seriously, I'm not even exaggerating when this game has crashed more than any other game that I've played in my life. Seriously, honest to God, it must have been about. We must be in the 50s range of the crashes, but I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, with Cyberpunk, I don't really review my games in terms of glitches. I care about the story and the gameplay and everything like that. So I'm just going to talk to you guys about the game in terms of the story and how much of a disappointment that thing was. Holy shit. And the gameplay and how much of a disaster that was, and just the graphics and everything. I'm just going to talk about that real quick and just show you guys that do not get this game. It's a disappointment. If you were someone like me that was waiting 2 months and hoping for this game to get better, well, like I said, guys, it does not get better. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about the story and the gameplays and just everything about this game, because yeah, just a major disappointment. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first thing, let's start with the story in terms of the main quests that you do to finish the game. So before we get even started, there will be no spoilers for the story, because what can I say? One, it wasn't really that good, and two, I checked out of the story about 2 hours in. It was so boring, the main story in this game. Like, you start off as a mercenary who's trying to make a way to the top, just your typical trying to, corporate story, like trying to work your way up the ladder and crap like that, and you have to do this mission where you're in the Japanese, I forgot the name of it, just the Arasaka, I think it is, and you have a chip and it malfunctions, and next thing you know, you see Johnny Silverhand, who's played by Keanu Reeves, and you're about to die, and you need to find a way to figure out how not to die. That's practically the story, and I'll tell you what, guys, I could have easily just, canned the story like right then and there, because it is one of the most boring, most disinteresting, most unlikable, most I couldn't give a shit about the story type games I've ever played. It was so boring, guys. From the storytelling to the script writing, stuff that I care about, the script writing was so bad in this game. The storytelling was just C grade. It was like Cyberpunk just went to I think they're based in Poland, like, I take it they're in Warsaw, so they're probably like, hey, let's just go get some random, inexperienced script writers to come make this game. It's like, hey, you've got sort of experience, you sort of got a qualification, hey, you're hired, go ahead and try and make this story, for this game, because that's what it felt like. It felt like C-tier average, just absolutely boring. Couldn't give a crap about it. Like I said, guys, the first couple of hours of the main quest was so bad. It was so disinteresting. It was just terrible. You want to talk about fucking NyQuil on a screen? Just look no further. Just go ahead and play this game. If you have sleeping problems, just go ahead and play Cyberpunk and play the main storyline, because you would definitely fall asleep quicker. If you wouldn't need no drugs, because that's how boring this game is. The characters were nothing special. I didn't really care about any of the characters in this game, except for maybe, I don't know. I didn't mind Jackie for the most part, and I liked what's his name, Takamura. He was definitely a highlight of this game, but everyone else was just ordinary. So yeah, the story was awful. It was boring. I mentally checked out of the story about 2-3 hours in. My brain's like, hey, I'm gone. I'm gone, mate. You can deal with this trash, and I did. And like, the story it was so bad that there was a few times where I felt like I wanted to put this game down. I wanted to drop this game. It was just so bad. I couldn't. I just didn't want to play it anymore. I was so frustrated. I was so bored that someone like me, I was nearly going to put the game down. And one thing about me is that I do not put games down. I refuse to. Like, a game has to be really, really, really bad for me to put it down. Otherwise, I will torture myself to play this game. And that's exactly what I did. This was not a fun experience to me. It wasn't. It was a chore to play this game and the story and try to get through it. Like, it shouldn't have taken me this long to finish this game. It probably took me about, 35 hours to finish it. I did do a few side quests as well, but yeah, it shouldn't have taken me this long to finish this game. Something that was so heavily anticipated. I shouldn't be fucking, saying to myself that I gotta finish this game and just, I gotta finish this game to see what it is and get my opinion out on it. I shouldn't be able to do that, especially a heavily anticipated game like this. So yeah, the story was terrible, boring, uninteresting, couldn't give a fuck about it. It was just so poorly written. The script writing, the dialogue, just the character development, it was just nothing special. It was terrible, actually. So yeah, the story was awful. Couldn't give a crap about it. So yeah, I wouldn't play this game if it was for the story. I don't know if there's people out there that like it. Good for you. Like, I'm very glad your tolerance level is, very high. Like, you like torturing yourself or something, because I couldn't do it. It was just painful for me. So yeah, the story was awful, guys. Next, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay. Oh, Jesus. Wow. Wow. What the fuck was the gameplay, guys? There was 4 different aspects of this game in terms of the gameplay. You had the fighting mechanics, you had the stealth, you had the driving, you had the shooting. About 4 or 5 different aspects of this game and the gameplay. And, boy, what can I say that was worse? Because that's what it was. There was nothing about this game in terms of the gameplay that was good. Single thing I just said was trash. It was absolutely terrible, the gameplay. I'm trying to think to myself, what was worse? Was it the stealth? Because the stealth was generic. It was trash. It was awful. It was PS1 standard stealth, and hey, I played PS1 games that had better stealth than this. So yeah, the stealth was terrible. It must have been a last minute thing because it was awful. So yeah, the stealth was trash. The driving was fucking awful as well. Driving around the map of Night City in a car or a motorbike was some of the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. If I was you and I'd play this game, I would just fast travel everything that you can. Just go to one of those fast travel things and just do that instead, because you are going to hate the driving like I did. It reminded me of Watch Dogs. Does everybody remember how bad the driving was in Watch Dogs 1? No further. No further. Look no further. It's been a while since a game has reminded me of Watch Dogs in terms of the driving, because that was some of the worst driving I've ever played, and this game is right next to it. The driving was terrible. It was torturous, especially the motorbike. Like, fucking something that's supposed to be easy to maneuver shouldn't have to be this bad using. It seriously felt like I was driving a Soviet tank in the 1980s. Like, absolutely terrible, the driving in this game. Just torturous, painful, awful, fucking, what the hell was that? Like, yeah, the driving was bad, the stealth was bad, the shooting was really bad as well. You want to talk about, it was laughable, the shooting. It was so awful to shoot in this game. Aiming down the sights with a gun was just torturous. You might as well just free aimed, or, just aim down the sights, because it was more accurate and it was better. Even though it was bad, it was better than aiming down the sights and trying to shoot someone with a gun in this game, because it was just, it was awful as well. Everything about the gameplay was bad. The shooting, the driving, the fighting was trash as well. Everything felt tacked on. It felt like, hey, shit, we've done all this story and all this crap, even though it wasn't that good. Hey, we need to make some gameplay as well. Let's just tack some trash on for the last minute, because that's what it felt like in this game. It was some of the worst gameplay I've ever seen. For a game that came out in 2020, like, my God, I played games. I played PS1 games that had better gameplay, and PS1 was not known for gameplay at all. And I swear I played games from the PS1 that had better gameplay than this. Fucking 20 years later. So yeah, the gameplay was awful. The story was awful. The map of Night City was nothing special. It was practically just, hey, let's just throw a couple of 100 buildings in the middle of the map and just, that's it. Yeah, just make a couple of generic buildings and just drive around. It didn't feel anything good driving around Night City. It was boring. It was generic. There was a couple of interiors that you could go into, and that was sort of okay. But driving around the map of this was nothing special. You had the desert, but it was nothing. It was just bland. This whole driving, it was not interesting to drive around in Night City. It felt all the same, just generic, awful, nothing special. So yeah, that game, it wasn't that good. The graphics were nothing special as well. I don't really care about graphics that much. I do care, but I don't really care. But if you're someone who likes graphics, the graphics were nothing special in this game as well. I mean, I played on the PlayStation 5. I don't know about the PC. If someone wants to tell me that they're amazing on a 3080 Ti or whatever the hell is out these days. So yeah, another disappointment. I figured I'd also talk about the glitches too. Like, when it comes to the reviews and people talking about when this game came out, the main thing they talked about was the glitches. And the glitches, wow. This has to be the buggiest game ever. It has to be. It has to be the most buggiest game of all time. 2 months later, it's still just as bad as it was when the game came out. The game was so bad and so fucking glitchy that what's his name? Crobcat made a video. Someone who hasn't made a video in about a fucking year. This is how bad this game was. That it was so glitchy that he made a video on the game. That one of the most buggiest games I've ever seen. It has to be. I don't think anyone can deny that this is one of the most glitchiest games of all time. And whatchamacallit, Mass Effect Andromeda only came out a couple of years ago. And it's coming to the conclusion that it's more buggier than that thing. And that thing was one of the worst things we've ever seen in terms of bugginess and glitches. So yeah, the glitches were astronomical. There was a couple of real funny ones too, by the way. That's probably the highlight of my game, watching this game and the glitches. This game was like a living meme at the moment, like a video game meme, even though I hate memes, but it was a video game meme, literally. You couldn't do anything without seeing a glitch. Everywhere I went to, I saw glitches. Everything. Pretty much every single aspect they tried to do was just a failure. Every single animation they tried to do, there was a glitch in that. Every time you got into a car, there was a glitch. There would be cars all over the place. There'd be cars dropping out of nowhere. The mission structure wouldn't work. Like the places where they tell you to go to was completely wrong. Like, you tell you to go somewhere and you'd go somewhere and there'd be nothing there. So now you have to walk around the map trying to figure out, hey, where the hell do I go? Tells you to go see someone and you couldn't see them. They were in some other random place. So literally there was a mission where I'm in this camp. I ain't going to spoil it, but I had to find someone. And I literally spent 20 fucking minutes trying to find someone because it wanted me to find them, but it didn't show me where they were. So I literally just went around the camp, just went around everywhere just to find her. I had to go on YouTube and find out where the fuck she was. So yeah, the glitches were astronomical. But I'll tell you what was worse was the crashes. I just mentioned it before. I've never had a game crash on me so much in my life. Seriously, every time I picked up this game, it crashed. I'd start the game, walk 2 feet, crash. Get in the car, it'd crash. It'd crash, I'd come back to start the game again, and as soon as it happened, it'd crash again. I was very lucky that it didn't crash. It didn't crash, I come back, and it did the save, and then it crashed again, because if that was happening, then the save would have been broken, and that would have really pissed me off, because then I would have lost all my data, and I would have just fucking absolutely just went to town on this thing. Like, absolutely just thrown it in the creek behind me. I would have been just done with this game. So yeah, the crashes, I've never seen a game crash so much in my life. I just knew it was coming. Like, every fucking time I picked up this game, it crashed. Crash. Just yeah, awful. The crashes were awful. Just everything about this game was awful, guys. I wouldn't recommend this game to anybody. But seeing all these negatives, what should I say that was good? There's probably one good thing about this game is the videos that I saw about this game on YouTube in terms of the glitches and everything. But also another thing was the music. Like, the music was definitely a standout. It was seriously like they put all their budget into the soundtrack. Not the third-party soundtrack, the composure, because that shit was awesome. Like, probably the best thing about this game. And the videos I saw on YouTube about the soundtrack, like they were hilarious, a few of them. So yeah, that was probably the highlight of this game. But yeah, overall, Cyberpunk was an absolute disappointment. Another fucking disappointment in the 8th generation. Pretty much to the end. Yep, another disappointment for me. So hooray, congratulations. But yeah, like I said, guys, I had to pick up this game because I didn't really hear anyone talk about the story that much. All they talked about was the glitches, and I needed to play the game to see how bad it was in terms of the story. And the story was nothing special. There was a couple of side quests that are okay, but they're nothing special. I wouldn't pay full price for this game. Hell, I wouldn't pay half price for this game. I wouldn't pay fucking $20 for this game next time. So yeah, would I recommend this game right now? Hell no. 2 months in, the game is still a buggy fucking mess. You're thinking that it got better. 2 months later, it has not gotten better. The story was awful. It was an absolute disappointment, this game. And I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless it's $15 in the bargain bin. And even then, it'd be suspect. I'd try to haggle them down to about $7. So yeah, guys. Wouldn't recommend this game. It was an absolute disappointment. I'm completely frustrated with it. It was torturous to play. It took me forever to finish, which it shouldn't have. And yeah, just a disappointment. One of the biggest disappointments of this generation. A game generation that we had, like, you know, Mass Effect and Mafia 3 and Bioshock. I mean, not Bioshock. What's that other one? Mass Effect. Yeah, whatever. There's been so many disappointments in the 8th generation, and that thing just triumphed them. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Fuck, I don't know. I'll see you later. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments section if you like this game or not. But yeah, I'm out of here. I'll see you later. Alright, bye.